Alright, so in this video we're checking out the SpeedyBee Bee25 Cinewhoop. And just basically before you get into the whole video, I just want to say that if you're looking for something that's very easy to set up, SpeedyBee is getting better and better at their sort of making it very simplified. You don't even have to hook this up to Betaflight if you don't want to. In fact, I did not even connect this to my computer. I used the SpeedyBee app to change all the settings and bind up my receiver and everything, and it was very, very easy. Got this up and running literally in just a few minutes. So for those of you that are looking for an easier, quicker way to get your quads up in the air, definitely SpeedyBee is moving in the right direction. Definitely a lot better than most other players out there, where you have to, do a lot of stuff in getting everything configured correctly. You can do it very quickly with this one here. So that being said, I wouldn't necessarily say this is for a beginner, but it's more beginner friendly. There's less work involved in getting things up and running. So I'll leave it at that, and you guys can decide based on the rest of the video whether this is for you or not. Now, it did come with a Pidtoon, of course, and as you saw earlier in the beginning of the video, some of the flight footage clips here, I'll show you the rest of it a little bit later. Very smooth flying. It's tuned very well out of the box for both casual flying and for a little bit more aggressive flying. This wouldn't be my first choice for a primarily freestyle drone. If you're looking for that, probably you want something else, but if you want kind of an all-around, can do a little bit of everything, but you're mainly looking to get nice 03 4K footage, this is definitely one to check out. And pretty reasonably priced if you get the power versions. So the website does show like these power versions versus the regular versions, and it does sound like a little confusing. The power versions are basically the ones without the 03 air unit or no FPV system in them. You basically just get the frame, the flight controller, and the motors pre-installed and ready to go out of the box with the Pidtoon. So the power versions obviously will come with receiver and no receiver, and the two receiver versions you have available are the Crossfire and the Express LRS, or you can get the plug and play with no receiver. So that's the difference. That I don't know why they use the word power. It kind of indicates that maybe this has a better motor or something like that. It does not. I think they've been using it for a little while on their other bind and fly drones, that if it doesn't have the 03 air unit or some sort of FPV system, they're calling it the power version. Basically, it's the bring your own VTX version. So it's pretty much the whole drone except for the 03 air unit and camera. So just a quick look at what else you get in the box here. They do include these nice Phillips head screwdriver and a hex screwdriver. So pretty cool. Something that I don't need, but nice that they include it, because at least in this power version you have to install the 03 air unit here into this cage here in the front. We'll talk about this design a little bit more a little bit later in the video, but there are instructions on the website, actually the download instructions on the website for the product page. They have, they're very easy to follow. This is one of the easier 03 installations. Like most of the Cinewhoops out there, they're going to have the 03 air unit kind of buried underneath here inside the frame, and typically you take the prop guards off, and you got to do all this, like, sort of, it gets a little fiddly with all the cable and everything, and get it kind of fitted in here. Sometimes they put it in the back, and that can kind of be problematic. They have this like sort of system here where it's just one kind of piece. You have the air unit there, and then the camera, they're all connected together. And then there's just two screws here on one on each side there, and then two over here in the back that hold it on. And then you have these two side pieces for the antennas. They do include the antennas in this whole thing in the kit. Now, if you want to get the upgraded aluminum metal cage, they did send that to me. I did not install it, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So here is one of the sides here, and then they still use the same silicone grommet there to dampen the camera vibrations, but it's essentially very similar to the plastic pieces, but you get the aluminum cage here, and then there's some standoffs that hook these together, and then they use the same plastic pieces that hook onto the side here for the antennas, and they do include, instead of antennas and screws for that. So I probably won't use these until maybe I crash this one and break the plastic pieces, but it's pretty unlikely unless you have a really bad crash. The plastic that they're using these days on both the prop guards and this camera cage here are pretty tough. You would have to pretty much like dive it into the ground at full speed, in which case the camera probably will be damaged even with this cage on here. So I guess if you're really concerned about saving your O3 area, then yeah, go ahead and get this upgraded camera cage. It might save the camera in that case, and it's only like $9, like $8.99, so probably well worth it if you're really concerned about saving the camera. Also worth noting that when it came out of the box here, it did come with a bunch of stickers on here, basically like little warnings and saying that you shouldn't be changing any of the settings. It is come pre-tuned out of the box, ready to go. A lot of the mistakes that beginners make is the first thing they'll do is they'll try and upgrade the Betaflight version, and they mess that up, and then they can't go back, and basically they end up with a drone that can't fly. So if you are a beginner, the tune on here is really good. Upgrading Betaflight is not going to help you at all. It's you're just gonna, most likely you're going to mess it up and cause problems later. So I recommend just sticking with the settings that are on the drone out of the box. Those are really good out of the box, so I would stick with those. All right, so the rest of the stuff that you get in the box here, you get a battery strap. It's a little small one here, in case you don't want to use this sort of, this is a piece of elastic that is attached to the drone that holds the battery on. We'll talk about this here in a second. You get a QR code to a user's guide, which is a full manual, and then you get a quick start guide here, and then you have some additional QR codes for the app download. There's another, this B25 installation. This talks about how to install the camera cage here in the front, which I talked about earlier. Very, very easy to set up. Then there are these preset modes. I will show this to you in the app. Basically, there's like a beginner mode, an expert mode, and then a return to home mode, because this does have the ability to add a GPS in the back here. You can see, take off these two screws right here, and this little cover comes off, and then you can plug in the GPS here. I think that there's only one available on the SpeedyBee website. I'll show it here on the screen. I think it's like $20, and I think that's the one that goes on here. So if you do want GPS return to home, you can add that for an additional $20. That's just something that you get to buy separately, and then you can then change one of these presets to the return to home mode. And then basically, in terms of the Betaflight modes, for beginner mode, basically have angle mode is pretty much enabled all the time. But then when you go to expert mode here, angle mode is only active on this particular aux channel, aux3, when it's in the mid or high position, but it's off during the low position, which means it'll be in acro mode. And then you have the GPS return to home here, this one here, return to home mode. If you enable that, then these are the modes that will be plugged into Betaflight when you select that in the SpeedyBee app, and then it is on this aux3 channel here, GPS rescue in high. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to do anything in Betaflight. You just have to go to the app and select one of the preset parameters. Of course, you do have to set up the radio to match the way these modes are set up. So for example, this aux channel 1, aux 3, aux 2, aux 4, all of these need to correspond to your radio. All right, now to the drone specs itself. You get a 2mm carbon plate that holds all the basic important parts, your motors and your flight controller. The motors on here are these the version 2s. These are for the 1404s, 4600 kVs. You got your HQ 3-bladed prop here. It's kind of a Cinewhoop type prop, 63mm or 2.5 inches. And then you have your 35 amp all-in-one flight controller there with 35 amp Blue Jay ESCs, and I think it's got the ICM gyro. And you can see there, it does not have the heatsink. So I think this is the same flight controller as the 40 amp version that has the purple heatsinks that I reviewed a few weeks ago, but these do not have the heatsinks, which is probably why it has a lower amp rating to have 35 amps instead of 40 amps. And then mine came with the Express LRS receiver pre-installed, and you can see the antenna right here inside this bottom cage here. And it doesn't have these little landing nubs here. Right here, you can kind of see these two right here, and then two in the front right there, and then two in the back. So it is landing on these You can probably put some, I don't know, rubber on here, something like that. You could put maybe some adhesive, attach something in here if you want a little softer landing. It is kind of a, eventually these will, if you land on concrete, they'll kind of wear out over time. There's a little breakout board inside there you can see that goes to the, it basically has, there's some wires for the GPS there. It has a USB-C extension from the flight controller, because there is a USB-C plug on there, but there's a little extension cables that go to this breakout board and over here, and then there is a little button right there for the flight controller bootloader. So if you want to go into bootloader mode, you can press this button right here, and that's all part of this little breakout board that's in the back that you can kind of see underneath. So you can see here that the air unit is exposed here on the bottom, so some dirt could get in this here. So if you're worried about that, you might want to either cover this up or put something in there to prevent water or dirt getting in there. And then it also is exposed on the top, but you have access to your SD card and your USB-C port. And then these little antenna pieces here, holding antenna, also act as like a guide for the airflow to come in this way and cool the O3 air unit. Now you do have these new Meteor LEDs here. These are version 2, and they have the ability to they change colors based on whether you're armed or not armed, and also when you have low voltage batteries, so they'll turn red. But you can also adjust those in the app. So let's go ahead and show you that real quick. All right, so take a look at these LEDs now, and then on the radio there is a setting called LED low on channel 4, which is on this switch on my radio. If you want to turn the LEDs off, you can just press that button and the LEDs will turn off, and I'll just leave them on for now. You can go into your app here to control the LED settings, and oh yeah, just to show you that these presets, you just click on that over here, and these are the presets that pop up. You can switch it to beginner or return to home mode. I'm obviously in expert mode for acro flying, so it's very easy to switch with this to click. But to get to the LED settings, you hit this toolbox icon here in the bottom, and then Meteor LED right there, and then you can actually turn off the LEDs here if you want, so leave them on. But if you want to adjust some of the additional settings, let's go into here, and then there's all these different lighting effects. And so right now arming should be forbidden. And let's go into here, and we can change the different, I guess, lighting effects. So I guess this is surging theme. Let's see, light chasing theme. This is the light chasing theme. Well, can we turn the, so that, there you go, now camera's not overexposed. So this is the light chasing theme. Then we have the block stacking theme. And then you have the fireworks bursting theme. Oh, that's pretty cool. So lots of different things you can do here. Glittering theme, stars shining. That's nice as well. Pretty nice. All right. Let's just go through these real quickly. I'm not going to read them off. You can read them on the screen. There's just too many of them. Kind of like the breathing, glittering theme. Let's go ahead and confirm that. And then you can do custom colors or random colors. Just hit that save, and then we should give it a name. Hit confirm, and that shows up there, the lighting name. So that's our lighting effect. Very cool. Okay, so I left the battery in here on purpose just to show you that this is the one that you're going to want to use. Now it does say on the website and the product page that this thing can use 650 to 1100 milliamp hour forest batteries, but getting ones that will fit properly in here are, well, for the most part, this is the only one that I could find that actually fits well. You can see I have a little bit of a gap there in the front and the back where the XT30 is. And if you're wondering why it's yellow, I think the first batch of reviews had the black XT30 connector here, and now I think the second batch has the yellow ones. Not sure why. Probably, supply chain issues. But yeah, this strap here, well, it is a bit of a tight fit here on the 850. This is the Beta Phoebe Forest 850 Lava Lipo. This is the one I think fits the best. This is the one probably you want to get that will fit the best here. The GNB 1100 does not fit in here. Now there might be something you could probably squeeze in there. I'll give you the measurement of this distance here in a second. Yeah, it's just problematic finding the right battery that will fit the spot. But yeah, as you can see here, we do have a little bit of a rubber grip here, and then this does move up and down, forward and backwards, and it does stretch a fair amount. So 1100 does fit, but it's going to be pretty tight in terms of the strap, but this distance here is not enough. And in terms of the exact measurement there, it's about 64 millimeters from the back of the air unit to the XT30. Maybe a little bit of 63 millimeters, let's say. So when I tried this 4660 and try and fit this in here, as you can see, it does not fit. This balance lead connector thing gets in the way. I can't get that to fit. Now you can rotate this. This is a square here with these screws, and you can rotate these metal brackets here. You can. These screws are on the other side. So you have to take the bottom, this little bottom plastic piece off of these 4 screws here, and then you can access, I think, yeah, this one here is accessible right there and right there, but then the other 2 are underneath this cage, and I can't really see it, but it's like right there, and you can see the other one's kind of like right there. So you have to take this off so you get access to these 2 screws here, and then you could rotate this to have the strap so that the battery can go this way. But the problem is when you do that, so you put the battery in over here, like this will accommodate definitely more batteries, but this is going to be too short. So you need some sort of a XT30 extension cable. Many of these micro batteries, the leads are too short to reach. And then in terms of the CG, of course, with no battery, it's going to be very front heavy, as you can see here. But with the battery in here, it does balance pretty nicely. So I'll put my fingers underneath right here, and it does balance no problem with this 850, and it just, the weight in the back here does counteract the weight of the O3 air unit in the front. So if you're worried about CG, because of the way this is set up, if you have this battery, it seems to balance perfectly, and you saw the flight footage, it just flies pretty well. So at the end of the day, I do like the design. I think that I think we'll probably see more of this here, where the O3 air unit camera is kind of in the front. It does push the camera all the way to the front here, which does make it a little bit more exposed to crashes, but you get all the prop guards out of the way, even with a very low camera angle. So this is definitely, I think, the way to go. Definitely a lot easier to install than putting it underneath here. And I like the sort of design innovation you have here. The only downside is that you're limited on your batteries. And if you just get the 850 Lava Lipo, I think you're good to go there. That's a pretty common battery, at least that's a pretty good common size, and that should fit here fine. And I got plenty of flight time that you can get probably 6 minutes pretty easily. If you're not really flying too aggressively, you could stretch it out to 7, maybe 7.5 minutes. It really depends. If you're just doing, sort of indoor Cinewhoop flying, you could definitely get a solid, 7, maybe up to 8 minutes of flight time on that battery. And just to show you how much it weighs, here we go. So no battery, 170.3 with the 4S850. So we're definitely coming over the 250 mark, 266.2. But then this was this 4S660. Yeah, that's a much lighter battery, 233 grams for that. So again, I don't know of a battery that's maybe like around 750 that will have the dimensions that'll fit. Yeah, so overall, pretty happy with the way it flies, pretty happy with the ease of setup. It's very quick to get this up in the air. So if you do have a lot of issues, maybe you don't have a laptop you want to carry around, or maybe some of you don't have a PC or Mac, and you're like, hey, I have a phone, can I just do a complete setup with the SpeedyBee app? Yes, you can do that with this one, no problem. In terms of overall flight experience and flight feel, the Pitoon, again, as I said earlier, very well done. Very little prop wash unless you're going directly straight down into your prop wash, which for most any kind of drone, especially Cinewhoops, that's pretty much unavoidable. You can do a little bit of acro flying and freestyle flying with this one if you want to do some tricks, but ideally, because of the prop guards, it is a little bit limiting in terms of what ultimately you can do. So if you are looking primarily for a freestyle drone and not a Cinewhoop, then I would recommend looking at something that doesn't have any prop guards. That'll give you a much better experience overall in terms of freestyle flight. But for general flying and a little bit of freestyle acro, this is, you know, more than adequate, I think, and you get really good flight times. Yeah, just generally, I like this model all around. I hope they continue with the ease of setup on their future models. It would be nice if they had additional videos on how to set up your radio with the settings that they have pre-installed. There was a little bit of, I really couldn't find too much information on that one. They kind of assume that you already know how to set up your radio. There are obviously lots of videos out there, but it would be nice if they had maybe like an HTX model profile that you can just download and install to your HTX radio that matches everything that's in the drone. And then they had a video that explained that. That would be nice. I think obviously they'll probably do that eventually for future models, that they've been improving their setup and ease of use with each new model. So just a suggestion I have for them, and I'm sure that's pretty easy for them to do. If you can just download a HTX model that matches exactly the 3 different modes, beginner, expert, and GPS mode, then yeah, there's almost nothing you need to do. If you can just download that model to your radio and then install that, and then match it to the modes or presets that are in the app, then you're pretty much good to go without really having to do much. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that I thought was a little bit sort of missing in terms of the ease of setup. That they're kind of assuming that you already have a radio that's exactly set up the same way, but not everyone does. So that could be a potential issue if you're not using HTX or some other brand of radio, for example. Anyway, I think that's going to cover for this video. Links will be down in the video description if you guys want to check it out. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.